Great evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of At the Table. I'm your host, Dr. Noelle. Super excited to have you all join us on this evening. For those of you who are going to watch the replay, please don't forget to, I'm watching myself. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as do not forget to share this Facebook video. For those of you who are currently live, thank you all so much for watching. Go ahead and share with someone else, with a parent, especially if they have a child who is currently in elementary school, or if they're a guardian of a child who is in elementary school. Please go ahead and share this. And again, this will be available on both my Facebook as well as my YouTube pages for replay at a later time. So for those of you who are new to At the Table, this is your first time coming and having a seat at the table with us. Here at the table, we are here to empower, educate, inspire, and to motivate, and make sure that parents are ready to navigate this beautiful, beautiful arena we call the education system. So they have the tools, they are equipped with the tools necessary and the resources necessary to ensure their child has a high quality as well as an equitable education. And so tonight I'm super excited about our guest. She is not just my colleague, but she is truly one of my dearest friends, and sister in the Lord, as well as sister in education. She currently is the principal at Madison Elementary School right here in the beautiful city of Greensboro. She is a graduate of UNCG, recently graduated with her doctorate. Woo-hoo. She's now in the sisterhood. So she has her doctorate in education from UNCG, master. She has so many accolades, you all. You just have to go and check her out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. The one, the only Dr. Noelle Leslie. Woo! Thank you for joining us at the table this evening. I'm super excited about this conversation. People have been commenting, liking, sharing, and so, you have fans, honey. You have fans, big fans, honey. So we're super excited to get this conversation kicking and started. Welcome to the table.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to join you to talk about this topic.
And so for those of you who are not aware what our topic is on this evening, we will be discussing why is third grade so pivotal. That is a big grade, like super humongous. It's a really big grade. And so we're going to get the conversation started. And Dr. Leslie, my Noelle, what makes success in third grade so significant?
Well, there are so many changes happening in third grade. Historically, third grade was that grade level where you're turning the tide. You're going from learning to read to reading to learn. So in literacy, you're changing that tide, that skill from you're learning the foundational skills to turning the tide to comprehension. And then when you look at third grade in terms of math, you're learning multiplication, you're learning division. And so in third grade, more heavily, third grade is the grade level where that's when testing begins. That's when standardized testing begins. Dun, dun, dun. So that's where, it gets a little serious. So kindergarten, first grade, second grade, not saying that they aren't serious grade levels, but you definitely feel the pressure once you get to third grade, because I know here in Gilbert County, you would have the COGAT, you would have the beginning of grade tests, you would have the end of grade tests, you would have the interim benchmark assessments, and they didn't have to do that in second grade. So all of these things are new to an 8-year-old. And they're having to navigate and learn these skills of test taking. So that's huge. And like I was saying, just with the reading and the math, even with math, your focus was on addition and subtraction, and now it's you're learning the concepts of multiplication and division, which if if children don't know multiplication and division, it's very hard to understand fractions. It's very hard to understand those complex concepts that you learn in middle school and then in high school. So you have to know multiplication and division, and then also have that firm foundation of place value. So third grade is definitely it's that grade level. That's why it feels so stressful to kids, especially in today's age, and it's just different. The
Yeah.
pressure is definitely there, and not only do students feel it, parents feel it, families feel it. Of course, teachers, they're stressed because they want to make sure that their children show growth, and there is a test that assesses their effectiveness. So everybody's feeling that pressure,
Mhm.
and there's so many studies out there that say if you are below grade level by the end of third grade, there are so many studies that show that that trajectory is not going to change as you get older. So third grade is definitely that grade level.
Yeah, and so you kind of hit on where I was going next with my other question, as far as how does the third grade how does the third grade really contribute to the trajectory of a child's education? So I know you touched on middle school, and I know talking about learning those complex information later on. So can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So, and I will say too, we in education, which that could be a whole nother show, but we in education, we need to do a better job of making sure we meet the needs of each and every student. But we know that by the end of third grade, like I said, the focus is, or even at the beginning of third grade, the focus is less on, and historically, the focus has been less on learning to read, and now it's reading to learn. So we're pushing comprehension because at the end of the year, you're going to have to take a test that measures your comprehension. So the focus is now, do you understand what you're reading? Do you understand what you're reading? And they get to upper elementary, and that continues to be the focus. So you have students that have not been taught fully how to decode text. And so, because of that, they're still trying to figure out how to decode text, and you're trying to push them to comprehend text. So then we continue to push them, and they get to fourth grade, they get to fifth grade, they get to middle school, and, I've worked in middle school, had a great time in middle school. Now, English teachers aren't necessarily elementary teachers by heart. So elementary teachers by nature are just we're just clinicians. Like we can, if somebody can't read, we could tell you why they can't read. We could tell you, well, we can we're better apt to identify the skills that they're missing. But in
Mhm.
secondary, if you can't read, you just can't read. They can't really break it down like that because that's not how they were trained. So, because of that, we're still trying to get them to, do you understand the text? And we're still not addressing the individual needs of students. And so, because of that, and because classes are larger, kids typically tend to fall in the cracks. And let's be real, a lot of our kids learn how to play school. I know how to play school. I know how to hide in plain sight. If I'm quiet, my teacher's not going to call on me. Um, if I don't make a fuss, or if I work with a certain group of kids, I can probably pass the class. So, but it's still not addressing the issue. The other thing is mindset, and this is huge. I especially see this as you start getting older with kids. If I know by third grade, kids have some sort of idea how they do in school, how they perform in school. So if I feel that I'm not good at school, if I feel that I'm not good at reading or math, and I struggle with reading, then my mindset is I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
So naturally, as people, why do we do stuff? We don't want to do stuff that we're not good at, which is why you have kids go into middle school and high school and they don't like school. So they're more apt to dropping out because why would I want to do something that I'm not good at? And then I don't feel like I'm being supported as well. So that is why, all of those little complexities and nuances have a part to play in why kids, there's a higher percentage of if
Yeah.
students are below level, then they may drop out. Then they may, get to these other things. It just sets a trajectory for them.
Mhm. Yeah. And you said so many, you know, important things, so many gems you just dropped on us, especially when it comes to by the time they get to me, in the high school level, it's like I don't like school. And that question of why, what is it, who told you that you couldn't do this, or where did we fail you in educating you, in breaking it down to where you're able to comprehend it? Where did we fail to teach you the way you learned instead of us, teaching you the way that we just teach, and not worrying about your learning style or your learning needs. So that was that was so true. That was so good, and the audience is definitely agreeing with you. And so my next question to you: a long-term study by Annie E. Casey. And you know us researchers. I like to say cute nerds. Um, NEKC Foundation found that students who were not proficient in reading by the end of the third grade were 4 times more likely. I'm going to say that again: 4 times more likely to drop out of high school than proficient readers. And she literally just talked about that. And so, in fact, 88% of students who failed to earn a high school diploma were struggling readers in third grade. I'm going to say that again: 88% of students who failed to earn a high school diploma were struggling readers in the third grade. Parents, go back to the very first at the table where Sade was talking about the importance of reading and reading to your children. And so, without 10 years in public education, I'm sorry, not without, excuse me, with the 10 years that you have spent in public, the over 10 years you have spent in public education, have you seen this to be true, and how?
Oh yeah, and I've had the pleasure of working in every level. So, most of my experience is in elementary. And then I spent a year in high school, which was very interesting because you got to see how they end up. When they leave elementary, you're like, well, go off and be great. And then in high school, you're like, oh, okay. And middle school is just that funky middle ground where you got to see,
Mhm.
them grow and develop. So I've definitely seen this in every level. You see the beginning pieces of this in elementary. You see where kids, struggle and they feel like they're not good at math or they're not good at reading, and so they they respond differently. They may have anxiety. And anxiety may come out as a behavioral response where it gets them referred to the office. And that's a whole nother whole other trajectory. You see kids falling through the cracks, and it's sad because we have this cap in the beginning, in the early grades, K through 3. You have these class caps. Like I know here in Guilford in our state, the cap is not over 21 for kindergarten. The cap is not over 20 for second and third grade, but there's no cap in fourth and fifth grade. you know. In
Mhm.
middle school, I remember seeing classes that were up to 30, even more than 30. And I know that, and I know it gets like that in high school too. And it's just very easy to, like I was saying earlier, fall through the cracks. And so you kind of just play the game. But you never get the support that you need. And that's what we see with students that are struggling. A lot of times, I don't want to say all the time, a lot of times they're not getting what they need, and we're just pushing them through. We're pushing them through, and we're not giving them what they need. So it's more of what we need to do in education and public education just to make sure that our students are not being pushed on and we're not meeting the needs of our students, because it starts in elementary, and we have to be very intentional with providing interventions that will meet them where they are, monitor their growth, and make sure that they're successful.
That's good. And, like you said, that having the opportunity, and I think, one of the things that, and you and I have talked about this before, is those in the upper level coming to see what you are doing the lower levels, and those in the lower levels, come to the upper level and see where they, like you said, end up, to see where is that disconnect. What can I do in order to bridge that gap, or what can I do in order to fill that hole that has been made throughout this child's educational journey. And
Mhm.
so, you're spot on with that we've got to really start changing and shifting some things. And so I'm gonna go a little off topic, because you mentioned, the cap and kit pre-K, cap all the way to third grade, but fourth and fifth grade and on up, there's no cap. So do you think classroom, and we can go on and on about this, classroom size matter? Does that matter?
Now, I believe it does. It absolutely does. I mean, a classroom of 15 is a lot more manageable for a lot of teachers than a classroom of 35. Now, we could talk about John Hattie and what he has proven to, what he has spoke about in terms of what causes the most impact, which is the effectiveness of a teacher, which is true. So there is research out there that shows that, you know, an effective teacher is outweighs the class size. But class size does matter. We know that as educators, it does matter. Um, and I will say that it's a lot easier and a lot more feasible to, meet with students when it's a easier number than when it's 35 kids and I have 35 kids in different areas, and I've got to meet the needs of all of those kids, especially if they're along such a long continuum of needs. So, teachers have to be, a lot of times we expect teachers to be Jesus Christ to grow all of our students. And not only to grow all of our students, but to, depending on the grade level, to change their mindset. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's hard work. It's very challenging, and
Yes.
the higher you go, it's even more challenging because you're having to undo so many thoughts that they have built over the years. And I can only imagine. I spent just 1 year in high school, but I can only imagine I never taught in high school, so I can only imagine, what teachers feel when they get students coming to math one in ninth grade, and you're having to kind of break those mindsets of, listen, in this class, you are a mathematician. I don't care what's going on, but in this class, you're a mathematician.
Yeah.
And it's a lot harder than in third grade when kids are just more impressionable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I definitely think that class size is
Yeah.
makes impact.
And that's always something that's up for debate. And like you said, and for those of you who don't know who John Hetty is, he does a lot of research as far as teacher effectiveness in education. You can always Google him. But being there, it's more, as Dr. Leslie has stated, it's more manageable when you have a number of students within the classroom that you can give that individualized attention to, where you can easily and more readily see those gaps and those misunderstandings or misconceptions that are taking place during the learning process. And so it all depends. It really just depends. It depends in, being somebody in high school, it depends on the subject content area. It depends on the level of rigor that is being provided. There's so many factors that go into it. And so it just all depends. That is something that is always up for debate. Does classroom size matter? So that will forever, in my opinion, be up for debate. And so, my next question, Dr. Leslie, what have you noticed about the mental and emotional health of third graders pre and then post test? Because, like you said earlier, this is their first time coming in, and this is where that test just starts. And what have you noticed about the emotional and mental health of your third graders pre and then post state assessments?
Well, I would say with the pre-assessments, like when I'm thinking about the beginning of grade tests, students don't know what they don't know, so they don't know typically what to expect with because they're just entering third grade. They've never really taken a standardized test, so they're just kind of going with the flow. But by the end of third grade, there's a lot more. They're feeling it. They're feeling the pressure. They're feeling the stress. I've had students in the past, that they said they didn't feel good. They wanted to go home. I've had students in fourth and fifth grade definitely feel that anxiety because they already know what goes into, and they've had a couple of they've had a couple of tests by the end of fourth grade, by the end of fifth grade. Typically at the beginning of third grade, they're still in the beginning stages, so there's not a lot of this. They're still trying to feel out third grade, feel out the testing atmosphere. But by the end of third grade, they're definitely feeling that pressure. And sometimes we put it on them because we're like, you have to be serious. You do your best. We want threes or fours or fives, only threes, fours, or fives. And they're like, and so they get super stressed. And it's stressful for the ones who are the perfectionists. It's stressful for the ones who, they struggle with reading and they struggle with tests. And it's stressful for the teacher because she just wants to make sure she doesn't have a misadministration. So it's just stressful for everybody. Um, I will say too, it's stressful in the senses today because our students typically, like when we were little, we didn't have all of these different distractions, so to speak. We didn't
Mhm.
3-minute videos that we could watch on TikTok and 3-minute, 5-minute videos on YouTube and things of that nature. We didn't have this quickness. I mean, we had 30-minute sitcoms and things of that nature with commercials in between. But, we didn't have this 3-minute here, 5-minute here. So it's a lot harder for our students to sustain a focus, you know? And so that
Mhm.
is one of the challenges that our educators are feeling because we're trying to grow their stamina to take a test.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's another stress.
Mhm.
I'm a grown woman and I struggle with, keeping attention.
I'm
Okay.
with. I'm with you.
Yeah, we're administrators, so you got about 3 to 5 minutes with me. I'm be honest.
Easy,
So,
flat.
So it's a lot harder if if it's harder for adults, it's definitely harder
Yeah.
for kids. We're having them to sit down and to read, about five to seven passages, and they've got to answer questions on these passages.
Yes.
But again, back to that learning to read, reading to learn. If I still don't even know how to decode words, then that's a whole nother issue. So it's all of these pieces. It's a lot more stressful when I I'm struggling with reading. I'm struggling academically, or I'm
Right.
struggling with math, and also I have a short attention span. So it's these, and also testing gives me, stress, and I want to do my best.
Mhm.
So it's just very stressful. And mentally, I've noticed that, kids just, I see the growingness of anxiety with kids.
Yeah.
And it's just not good for their health. I've
Yeah.
had kids grow up. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that even happens with adults,
Mhm.
and I even see it when they have to sit down, not just for the ELCs, but when they have to sit for the SAT and the ACT and all these other exams that determine their next, and, the level of anxiety that they experience. I could only imagine what happens to the little ones when, like you said at the beginning, I really didn't know what it was. But now that I know, and you expect me to have, like you said, three, fours, and fives, and I'm in here like freaking out because if I don't score a three, like it's my whole world is over. And so what advice would you give to your parents? What do you say to parents who are trying to prepare their children for the first time? This is the first time they're taking it. You know, what advice would you give to parents?
Well, I would say too with parents, and as I was thinking about this question, I was thinking about what would I tell my sister to tell my niece, and I think that you would just really focus on two things. You would help to increase their stamina with reading. You would help to make sure that they understand certain concepts, like they know their multiplication facts or division facts, and then also build their confidence,
Yeah.
because parents are, as parents, you are your child's first teacher. You're their parents, so you want to make sure that your children are confident in who, and they are well grounded in who they are. Build their confidence, and just let teachers handle the rest. For the most part, let teachers handle test taking skills. But I think if parents can really help us out with um, with giving them a conscious mind of, I can do this, I am smart and I can do this, and also we just want you to do your best,
That's right.
and
That's
really
right.
stressing, we just want you to do your best. And that's what
Yeah.
I tell my students. I don't really stress. I want you to make a three or four or five. I just want you to do your best. I want you to, and with fourth and fifth grade, I definitely push that projection piece. I definitely say, I need you to beat your projection. I need you to grow. I definitely push the growth. Um,
Yeah.
because I know everybody's not going to get a three, four, or five.
Right.
And as
Right.
parents, we should know our kids well enough to know. I just want you to do your best, and I'm still going to be proud of you. I remember this past year, I had a fourth grader. I was, passing out their test papers, their test results, and I emphasized to this fourth grader, you did your best. I'm so proud of you. You grew, ABC 1, 2, 3. I mean, I was really trying to blow him up, but he was on the paper. It showed that he wasn't proficient. So I gave him the paper, and he was like, so I failed. I said, it just shows that you're not proficient. You did a great job. And his shoulders just slumped. And he
Mhm.
just was so upset.
Mm. Yeah.
And I could just tell the confidence just left him. And
Yeah.
so, we just really have to instill confidence in our kids. Parents, I would say, focus on that, and also to help increase their stamina, because those two things are going to, if you don't have those two things, it's going to be counterproductive if children are trying to take a test.
Right. And that is so, so true about that confidence piece, because what you said right there, that broken confidence, because the expectation that has been set forth to them was, scoring this 3, 4, 5, but no one really stresses that growth piece. And I can't say not no one, but a good amount of people do,
Right.
but it's not like the primary focus. And unfortunately, sometimes we see it even at the high school level, what you scored, and then it's like, what you scored, and you don't lied about your test score because you don't want to appear to be a failure to your peers. And so that confidence piece with that young man, even at the high school level, and this is where it starts that trajectory. It's like, I'm not a math person because in third grade, I didn't score that level 3. Even though I grew, I didn't score that level 3. So I'm not a math person. I'm already defeated by the time I get to high school. So, no, I will not take the pre calculus class. No, I will not take that honors class because I'm not a math person. I didn't score that proficient in third grade. And so, like Dr. Leslie said, parents, I admonish you even on this evening to really begin now, even though the school year has not started. Start talking to them about it, start giving them that confidence, that boost about, the importance of growing, because you may not be proficient, but that growth piece is so much more excuse me, so much more important than anything. Yes, we do want you to be, yeah, we do want you to be proficient, but at the end of the day, did you grow so that I know that you learned something when you left me? You left me better than you came. And so please go ahead and boost that confidence of your child. It, we can't stress that enough. Boost the confidence of your children. And so, with that being said, our next question, Dr. Leslie, what strategies and or tools can parents of third graders utilize when it comes to supplementing their child's education? What can they do to prepare for exams? When should this begin? Because you said a key thing. Parents are a child's first teacher. So, I know you've heard it. I don't understand this new school math. So, what can parents do to help their children, even with supplementing their education and helping them to really gain that confidence and, of course, learn what they need in order to master the content?
Right. So the first thing is, definitely, like we've been saying before, it starts with your mindset.
Mhm.
Really pushing, really stressing and emphasizing to your child that they are brilliant children. You know, really stressing that they are, awesome human beings, extraordinary. Having them to repeat certain things every day so that it just becomes internalized in them. So it doesn't matter who says what, they know without a shadow of a doubt that they are smart and intelligent. So I'll talk a little bit about first reading, because there are some things that we can do with reading and in math that will ultimately impact them performing well on the test. So, with reading, you got to have great stamina. You got to be great. You got to know how to decode. You got to know how to break meaning in text. So the first thing is, model what good reading looks like. Like I said before, you are your child's first teacher. So, read together, read them a book, choral reading, doing some choral reading. And all choral reading is I read and then you repeat after me. So those are just simple things that parents can do at home with their child. Read a book together, read them a book right before they go to sleep. There's so many apps that you can use where you guys can read a book. If you're believers, read them a Bible verse. I mean, it's just simple things of, like that don't take a lot of time. A lot time for sustained reading. A lot of times kids, when the kids get home, they have devices, they're on YouTube, they're on their phone, but you've got to be intentional with allotting time for sustaining reading, which is going to build their stamina. So help us teachers make sure that your child is reading at home, because that muscle is what they're going to use to ultimately um, when they take the test.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing is, you know, I've heard this before is, go and read, and they're supposed to go in their room and read the book. And you know what they're doing? They're taking a nap.
Yep.
They are going like this, and they playing the game, and they're not reading. Parents, they're not reading. So make sure your child is reading near you. We'll say go. All right, go read. Or I've heard this before. Parents will use reading as a punishment. Like they'll use writing as a punishment, and we don't want to do that,
Yeah. Please
because
don't. Please don't do
that's
that.
sets the tone for, when I do something, I've got to do something I really don't like to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we just got to make sure that we're not doing that. So reading together, reading them a book, allotting time for sustained reading, and making sure that your child is reading near you. The biggest thing is letting them see you read, because then they're going to model some of the strategies and skills. That is the hope that they're seeing you do. And if you're not good at reading, you can be honest and be transparent, but at the same time, um, you want to show them what strategies you're using, and model for them. Man, I didn't understand that paragraph. Let me go ahead and read that again. You know, just things of that nature. Um, Find ways to make reading fun. I know when I'm thinking about kindergartners, first graders, second graders, they're still decoding words. So, you could do something, you put the sight words above their door, the door rim, and then they have to read the words before they go in their bedroom. So every time they go in their bedroom or into a certain room, they have to read these words. And you just, swap out the words when they understand the words. And these are maybe they're spelling words, sight words, just so that they are seeing and reading these words a lot more. Another thing is read books that are turned into movies. When I think about the
Yes.
movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, that was
Yes.
so kind of comparing it. They already have that background knowledge of what happened in the movie, so that could potentially, increase their engagement. So these are finding ways to make reading more fun. So in math, please, parents, please do not give them the mindset, well, I wasn't good at math, so
Please.
math people, or because I wasn't good at math, you'll probably not be good at math. Please do not give them that.
Please.
Please do not.
Stop saying that.
And to be honest, it probably because you just didn't have a good math teacher. I mean, with math, you either have a great math teacher or you don't. There is no in between. I think about my K-12 teachers in math. Some of them were amazing. Some of them were terrible. I learned nothing in that class. So it wasn't necessarily that I wasn't good at math. It was I didn't have a good math teacher. So making sure that we are not dumping this mindset, giving this mindset to our kids. That's first. And then parents, I know that during the pandemic, when your kids were home, I don't know, I saw so many parents crying in tears because they were so frustrated with math, because it's not the math you learned. Now it's very conceptual. The teaching is very conceptual, and it's foreign language for parents. So if
Mhm.
you're confused about what your child is learning, please ask your child's teacher. Um, there are supplemental materials. There are things that can go home that explain what concept your child is learning. So if you are confused, just ask. And if your child doesn't, and if you both are pulling your hair out because of a homework assignment, you know, it's okay if they don't get it. Just shut it down and say, "All right, I'm gonna send a message to your child's teacher just to let them know you didn't understand." And then the other thing is, please make sure your child knows their multiplication facts. I can't say this enough. In fact, as a second grade teacher, I started this in second grade because I knew it was that important. If just please make sure your children know their multiplication facts. And in I know in Guilford County, we do a lot with explaining the concept of multiplication, which is great. But two, they've got to know their facts because it's going to help them whenever they have to simplify fractions
Right.
and add fractions and find the greatest common factor and do all of these things with multiplication word problems. So please make
Mhm.
sure your children know their multiplication and division facts. I would
Yeah.
say overall, something that you can do is to really, if your child is struggling, I know in Guilford County we do free online tutoring. Really leverage that and really get your child some free tutoring, um, and just leave the testing skills to the teacher because we'll handle that. If you can help us handle the mindset, if you can help us handle making sure that your child feels confident, and also that we are holding hands and kind of doing this together, um, I think that your child will be successful by the end of third grade.
I definitely agree with you. Gosh, especially when you talk about having great math teachers versus, the one that you're just like, I will to this day never forget my high school pre-calculus math teacher. He retired, Mr. Dublin. If you're watching this, Mr. Dublin, shout out to you. Best math teacher, hands down. Don't care. And I will put him up against any other math teacher because Mr. Dublin was a phenomenal math teacher. And then I
Mhm.
took pre-calculus or calculus in college, and so anyhow, I had one of those experiences. It was like, now Mr. Dublin didn't teach it this way. Like it
Right,
was
right.
and I'm not even gonna lie, I did do that with every math teacher. And then I got to grad school and I had Dr. Chung, and he was amazing with stats. And then I got to my PhD program, and I can't remember Dr. What's her name? She was amazing with stats, amazing individuals. And I catch myself comparing every math teacher I've experienced with Mr. Dublin because it's like Mr. Dublin was the standard. And so teachers, that is even to us. Y'all ignore my dog barking in the background, please forgive her. But but anywho, that is so so important. Continue to build the confidence of your children. That is going to be essential, and preparing them for the exam. She really provided us with some serious tools. Y'all don't laugh at her because she is small and feisty. All right. So y'all pray for her. Yes, Crystal. Yes. Sheila, everybody's telling you hello. Um,
Mhm.
so but it's Dr. Leslie really, 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 really dropped those gems. I really love how you talked about putting the sight words or spelling words over the door and kind of creating a game, parents. Gameplay is one of the greatest tools, especially in that age category for children to learn. And the fact that you need to say these words in order to enter is like that mysterious, what am I going to find on the other side? This is the passcode to enter into this room. So I really love that idea. That's a great idea that I'm definitely going to share with all of the parents of my nieces and nephews. Absolutely love that. So, a closing out question for tonight, something, you know, that final thoughts for parents. So, even as a principal, what would be a key insight you will give to all parents as it pertains to the education of their children?
I think one of the major key insights is that you are your child's biggest advocate. And we are supposed to be, because I know there are some instances where, things happen, but we are their advocates as well. And I think sometimes parents advocate one way and educators may advocate another way. And that sometimes creates a little conflict. But really, we're on the same team. We're on the same team. Our common goal is to make sure that your child is smarter. Every day that they come to school, they leave smarter than they came. And that is our main goal. And so I would say one of the major insights is that we're literally on the same team. One parent is Scottie Pippen, the other parent is one person is Scottie Pippen, the other person is Michael Jordan. That's pretty
Yeah.
much the only team I know about. But they're on the you guys are on the same team with the same goal. And when you are struggling or challenged or you don't know something and you know or you notice something with your child, reach out to us because
Mhm.
we may have seen that, we may know, we can pinpoint what it is, we may have a name to this to a behavior that you're noticing or vice versa. So just know that, we're on the same team. I think that is the biggest insight. The other thing is just being constant communication with your child's teacher. If you don't know how to help your child, ask your child's teacher or ask the school counselor. And it doesn't stop in elementary. In fact, it should increase when they get to middle school.
Thank you. And high school, please do not
In
drop
high
off the face
school,
of the earth in high school. Like,
I mean,
please.
it started it decreased when I was, in
Yeah.
administrative middle school. It just slowly declined from 6 to 8, slowly. And I'm like, no, that's when parents should be all up in these kids' lives, all up in their teachers' email threads. I mean, so
Yes.
please be in constant communication. Do not leave it to, I remember so many times that parents would say, well, they said they turned it in. And it's like, you have parent portal. Check the parent portal.
I'll tell you. And
Please.
because by the time we get to high school, it's crickets.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes. So these are some of it's just two things. We are on the same team. We're trying to get your child to graduate. We're trying to get your child to, um,
Right.
you know, doing great things with their lives. And we all are working toward the same goal. And the other thing is communicate with us. We'll communicate with you. If you have an issue, please reach out to us. We want you to. We
Yes.
want you to.
Yes. We really do. Please, please, please. You got Canvas, you got Power School. You can become an observer on Canvas to see everything that they're doing. Our school recently got an app, so now it's even easier for you to communicate with the teachers. Like, there's ways. There's ways. Come up to the school. Our doors are open. Well, not
Come to
literally.
school.
Ring the bell and then somebody will let you in. But, you
Right.
know, please, please come visit. And guess what, parents in high school? You can come sit in the classroom too. It's okay. Now, please behave yourself. Please don't show out. Okay? All right. We do got SROs in our school too.
Look,
But
look. You said that. I was like, well, we don't have SROs, so you're gonna have to make an appointment.
yes, you can make it. Please do, yeah, because I don't. Yeah,
We don't
anywho,
want no
but
crazy.
But please don't ghost us. Don't ghost us.
Please
Please
don't.
don't ghost us. We want you there. We
Mm,
want you there. You know, sometimes you hear, well, the school don't. We want you here. We don't hear from you. And I'm sorry, I gotta say this. Update your contact information.
please.
I'm tired of calling and hearing the number you have dialed is disconnected or is no longer in service. Please update your contact information. We want to be in communication with you. This is a partnership. All right. It's not the babysitting club, it's a partnership. We're here for you. We're here for you too, parents. This is why we're doing this. This is why we're giving you this sight, the insight, the foresight, the hindsight, every type of sight that you can think of. We're
2020.
trying to provide it to you.
2020.
20, I mean, we have it all. We want to give it to you, but please do meet us, at the table. Please meet us at the table. We have to do this as a team. So don't ghost us when they get to middle and high school. We need you here. We need you. We want to work in partnership with you. Terry, she's an educator, but she's also the mom of one of my sweet babies. And just because they graduate and they're gone don't mean we're not concerned about them. Like, we're concerned about our kids. We love our kids. And so I just want to say thank you, Dr. Leslie, for joining us on this evening. You all, please make sure you do me a favor and follow her on all her social media outlets. It's in the banner or the ticker going across the bottom of the screen. She's on Facebook, she's on Instagram, she's on Twitter. Yeah, she loves us on Twitter, okay?
I love
So
it. It's the best.
she will put stuff on Twitter in a heartbeat. And so please make sure that you all follow her. And you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to her as well. She is definitely an advocate for all children. She works for all children. She's concerned about all children. She's anointed to reach all children. And so we are grateful for her having a seat at the table with us. Please make sure that you all join us again on August the 23rd. We will have Mr. Jacques Taylor come to talk to us about resources for parents. And so, yes, we are stuck for life, stuck like Chuck. You my girl. And parents, we love it when we can have relationships with you, even outside of the school arena. Even after your child graduates, that we still, are able to be a part of that village
Mhm.
past the school. We want to be a part of your village. I know for Noelle and I, who do not have children as yet, having our nieces, our nephews, and our school babies means the world to us, and we will treat your children like they're our own.
Yeah.
And so, again, join us again at 8 p.m. August the 23rd. That is a Tuesday. I know you all are used to Monday nights, but I have open house on that Monday, and I promised you all second and fourth, and I want to make sure I am a woman of my word, and we are going to do the fourth Tuesday instead because I have open house on Monday. So I'm gonna put in a shameless plug. If you're in the vicinity of 201 Penix Drive, you are welcome to come to our Page Fest. There's going to be so much going on, y'all. It's literally like a big festival, like a carnival, if you want to put it that way. So join us. Everyone is welcome. Elementary school, middle, and high school, of course, it's geared towards our welcome back for our students, but we want to involve our community because, like Dr. Leslie was talking about tonight, it's a partnership. We need our community. We need our stakeholders within our community. Our politicians and our nonprofit leaders and parents and everyone else within the vicinity of the school. And so thank you all so much for joining us on this evening. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, send this to someone else. We love you all. We're honored that you took the time to come and listen on this evening. And thank you for joining us at the table. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks.